Well, good morning, and yeah, I'm out on the one of the club lakes. Just going to do a flog on silvers. Roach and Bream is really what I'm targeting today. It's the first week of February, so the water's still really cold. Not ideal conditions. I mean, these lakes in the summer, you bag up a couple of hours, you wouldn't stop catching roach and bream, and the carp fishermen are always catching the bream, and the float fishermen are always getting hooked up by the carp and losing them because you get snapped off on your 4-pound line. So just thought I'd come out and do something different. I've got 4 hours, so you know, a lot of matches are 4 hours, so let's see what we can do. That said, there was a match on here just last week, and I think something like 6 ounces won it. So yeah, it's winter fishing for you, isn't it? But yeah, I'm out here. I've got the I've got my John Wilson, all my rods, I was going to say quiver tip rods, but actually my float rods are John Wilson as well. So I've got the, at the moment I've got the 2 quiver tip rods out. One's on a maggot feeder and one's on a maggot on the hook bait, but a ground bait feeder, and we'll see what happens. Introduced a little bit of bait first thing, well, not first thing this morning when I got here. So yeah, just put the float rod out, plummeted a bit. It's very deep. You sort of literally a rod length out. You've got 8 foot. Go a little bit further, you've got 10 foot. So yeah, that's where I'm starting off there. But as the day goes on, if I see anything roll, or I'm not having anything, I will try putting one a bit further out. Obviously, as I say, I've got the float rod. I can change to float fishing and come up in the water. Bait wise, I've got a bucket of ground bait, which is just yellow breadcrumb. I prepared that at home yesterday. I'm not good at preparing ground bait on the bank for some reason, so I prepared it at home, riddled it all at home, and yeah, that's quite a nice soft fluffy texture. As I put a bit out, I can see it breaking up on the way down, so that's good. I've got a pint of maggots, went down my local Bill's Tackle yesterday. Got to support your local tackle shops, otherwise they'd be gone. So a pint of maggots down at Bill's. Got some hemp out the freezer. I've got loads of hemp in the freezer, and I've also got a tub of pellet and some little 6mm boilies, because if you get the bream going here, they like a pellet in here, and then I'll change over to a method feeder on one rod with a little 6mm packed up with pellet and a little 6mm boilie sitting on top of that, and see if that can nick a fish or not. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I've got the keep net here. After my last flog blanking pike fishing, I feel under a bit of pressure to catch some fish, so we'll see what happens. I've got a mate just along there. He's got a couple of carp rods out, but from what I've heard, there's not been a carp out of this lake since October. That said, it's probably not getting fished much. People always come, they're always on here. I went up last week, fished up on the res for a few hours, and had 3 carp out there, and there's always guys down here float fishing and match fishing. But yeah, it's not fishing very well at the moment. So we'll see what we can do. There's no knocks yet on that bait, so I'm going to keep trickling the bait in, give it an hour. If nothing happens, then we'll try a bit further out on one rod, and we'll try maybe float fishing on one rod. But yeah, update this as the day goes on. See you later. Back. So it's yeah, an hour in now. It's been a bit of a struggle. At first, couldn't get any taps or knocks or anything. close in on the 8-foot and 10-foot spots. So yeah, I put one rod out in the middle. I mean, I don't know how deep. One day I'm going to come back with a marker rod and see, but if I hold the rod and wait until you feel the feeder hit the bottom, I haven't counted it, but it's probably 10, even 15 seconds. I mean, obviously a feeder's quite light, but that is very deep out there. Nonetheless, I've had a few fish now. I think I've had 7 small roach and a skimmer bream. So there are fish out there, but it's hard work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a float rod out for a bit now and just see if they've moved up in the water and see if I can get something a bit closer in. You know, I can cast quite far with that float. But yeah, I guess the changes I did to get all the takes are opposite me. There's 2 trees. If I look at the swim opposite me, one rod's clipped up to the middle, going to the left-hand tree, and one rod's clipped up going to the right-hand tree. And to be honest, there's not a lot in it. Which rod's had the most bites? So, like I say, I'm going to wind one in now, leave one out there, and have a go on the float for an hour. See if I can nick something on the float. But at least we're off the mark, and we've got a couple of fish, 7 or 8 fish in the net to show at the end to make it a worthwhile thing. I mean, the only other thing I changed on the feeder rods is the taps were so small and you weren't nailing anything, so I went down to a single maggot. Hook size hasn't made any difference. On the rod with the ground bait in, I've got a size 14 hook, and on the rod with the maggot feeder I've got a size 16 hook. But there's not been a noticeable difference. One rod hasn't gone more than the other rods. So anyway, onwards and upwards. Let's get the float out, see if we can get something perhaps a little bit bigger as well. They're quite small, these fish are. Be nice at the end to have a couple of decent ones in the net as well. But at least we're catching. So yeah, onwards and upwards. A couple of hours left still, so trying to catch a few more. See you when I wrap it up. As you see, I've got my coating hat on now. It's turned pretty chilly here. So fishing wise, I think when I just put the video camera on for a catch up, I said I was doing some float fishing. Basically the float went really well. The fish had moved up into the upper levels and I was picking them up 4 foot deep, and I guess I didn't keep count. There's probably 50, 60 roach in the end in the net. 2 reasonable sized ones, but no big ones. And I even went back with the feeder rod I brought in and I've put it on the bottom close in, just in case there are some bigger fish milling around on the bottom. But yeah, I don't know whether the bigger fish are. Surprised no bream turned up, because there's a good head of bream in here. Just had a rattle on the feeder rod because it's still out. Yeah, there's a good head of bream in this lake. If you come here carp fishing and put pellets out, all you're going to do is catch bream all day long. So, but they didn't show up. Nonetheless, it was a good exercise for what I expected it to be, a day's winter fishing for roach, and that's what we've ended up with. What else is there to say about today? I don't know. Yeah, I think I finally got to grips with that close face reel. Never used one before. There's definitely an art to using it. At one point, somehow I'd got all line tangled up inside the reel and I had a fish on the end, so that was a bit of a nightmare. And casting, when the wind picked up, I was hacking in here. It was awkward to cast, but yeah, I persevered with it. I couldn't have fished with the centre pin today, that's for sure. So it did do what I wanted it to do. Oh, another knot. Oh, there you go. Nothing there though. And that's what it is. There's such small fish, some of them. Even though you're getting a tap, 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 there's nothing there when you hit it. Whereas on the float, you nail them every time. But so that just about wraps up the vlog for today. I think the winning formula in the end was, as I say, go onto the float, fished 4 foot deep, size 16 hook. I think that's on 3 pound line, that one, and a single maggot. Red's mostly doing the business, and yeah, that's what it was today. So hopefully you've enjoyed watching this, and if you have, there's a subscribe button somewhere down the bottom there, way down there. Hit that and you'll get notifications as and when I put other vlogs on. See you on a bank in the future.